tension. This is the tension. I keep mine set between 3 or 4, usually about 3 when I'm doing scrunchies. And then my stitch length is set at 2, and then just the normal stitch. So here's my strip of fabric. I'm going to put the short sides together, right sides together, and stitch this. Okay, now I've got that stitched together. So then we're going to open it like this. Keep right sides together. I like to keep this part on this side, on the bottom. And we're going to do this, and this, and this. And then push these together. I'll do that one more time. So this is how I like to do it. So it's nice and sandwiched in there, and then fold it over. So then I like to fold this flap this way because I'm going to sew this direction. And then just make sure these seams meet as close as possible. They might wiggle around a little bit, but nobody will tell. So I'm gonna get the sewing machine back. Okay, so with this little sandwich, I'm gonna move my needle up. There we go. Put it in there. And I'm just gonna start sewing, trying to keep these center pieces tucked down in there so you don't sew over it. And just make sure you backstitch, keep going. And I'll show you what we do from here. Okay, so I've gone a little ways and now we're at this part. Let me back up a little bit. So we've got this. All you have to do is just pull it through so you create more area to sew. And just keep going. Make sure your needle's down in the fabric when you're pulling on it. So there's my needles down in the fabric, and I'm gonna pull again. And continuing to make sure that stays tucked down in there. I'm going to keep going. And keep going. So when you get there, as you pull, you'll eventually run into your first stitch. So let's just keep going down. And you're going to leave a good gap to fold out. So I'm going to leave about that much. Push that away. And I'm going to cut off this here. Okay. So now with this open spot, I just hook onto that loop and just pull it all the way through. So now we have the base of our scrunchie. Now I need elastic. So I do between 7 to like 8.5, or no, not 8.5, 7 to 8 inches. This is 8 inches here. And we find that hole, thread the elastic through, I don't do this very gracefully. So here we go. Right. So I annoy myself with this part, but I will triple knot. I keep changing up how I do it to find the best method for myself. So far, I like this way. And I just give it a good tug to make sure it's nice and tight. And then I trim off these ends. Okay, so now is closing it. So what I do is where this hole is, I'm going to make it as nice and closed as possible, and I'm just going to top stitch. So we'll come over here. I try to keep it as close as I possibly can to the edge. I'll clean up all those threads at the end. I take this pretty slowly. But it's just your basic top stitch along here. I just kind of guess where it ends and hope that I got it right. So now, it's not the best, but there is what's considered an invisible seam for a scrunchie. So there we are.